Nobody's gonna see this, bro. What?
Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to Unfair Sports, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. I'm your host, Jay, with my co-host, Jimmy. You can always find us wherever you get your podcasts, there as well as on our YouTube channel. While you're there, like, subscribe, rate, and review, and give us 5 stars. You think we deserve it? Man, just give us 5 anyway.
Gifted.
So on today's episode of Unfair Sports, we're going to dive into Dak's hurt, and we don't know how back Dak will be. The Nets open up with a very odd wins total for next season. Let's talk through that. We're going to ask the question, who starts week 1? And then wrap things up with BYU's quest for unlimited scholarships. Make sure you hit us up on the Unfair fan line, 430-901-1906, and let us know what you think of the show. Give us your strongest opinions. If we like them, might end up on the show. We may actually debate one if you give us a real good one. So hit us up on the Unfair fan line, 430-901-1906, as well as hit us up on our website at unfair-sports.com and the YouTube channel.
Master J Novacek, what's going on?
What it do? Jimmy cracked corn and did not give a damn.
And I'll tell you guys before the show, Jay was arguing that Dallas is not America's team, nor have they ever been.
Wow, did you spit that on me?
I just want you to
I got that on tape, right?
What? Wait, what?
Yeah. The tapes were rolling at that point. We were in pre-production mode, and I was recording.
It's off the record. It's off the record.
Oh no,
you cannot burn me. You cannot burn me that way. It's off the record, bro.
I will burn you for you lying to everybody. You cannot lie to America.
America, I lied. I actually argued Dallas is not America's team. He was on your side because maybe he's a closet Cowboys fan.
I will go ahead and burn the tapes now, but I'm not. But you know what today is, right, Jimmy?
I do.
What is today?
I don't know.
Wait, but you said you do know.
Yeah, I know today's Monday.
Besides that, but what is today?
See, Baba Bonilla Day already passed.
A long time ago.
What is today, Dan?
Today is technically Mamba Day. Today would have been Kobe Bryant's 43rd birthday.
Okay.
Tomorrow will be 8/24. So I'm rocking my Mamba Clutch Culture shirt from my guys at Clutch Culture. Go check out their site. Want to show some love because it is Kobe Bryant. He passed, last year and everything. But this is Mamba Day, so we gotta get our Mamba mentality in when we dive right into this. And I'm gonna dive into it this way. With my me mug going.
All right. Drop 60 on him.
Drop 60 on him. No, but gotta start with NFL. So our boy, y'all's boys, America's team, Dallas is dealing with the thing that they've been dealing with for a while, a quarterback that is down and not healthy. I mean, going back to the Tony Romo days, they've had some years of dealing with injury situations, but a lot dropped for everyone has been speculating on. Adam Schefter with ESPN spoke during halftime of Friday night's Chiefs and Cardinals game about Dak's situation, and basically he said that Dak, more so in regards to Dak's lingering absence due to that shoulder strain or whatnot, and he's saying that Schefter says that he's not fully back. He may not be back all season long. And Schefter was pointing out to, of course, a shoulder injury that he has, that snapped ankle from last year. But he didn't really talk about which one is the injury that will keep him not being 100%. But it seems like it's probably the shoulder since it's the most recent, or possibly the ankle. So we have to ask the question now, Jenny. Is it fair to say that the Cowboys will underperform because of Dak not being 100%?
Oh, that's the question. Yes. Yes. I didn't think you were going to go in that direction, but no, it is totally fair that they're going to underperform because of Dak's injury situation, which we haven't even started week 1 of the season. And he's already dealing with this on top of what he dealt with last year, the horrific injury. So I think that is definitely fair to say that they are going to underperform, because in order for this team to perform, to meet expectations, we'll say reasonable expectations, not fanatic Dallas Cowboys fan, we're going to win the Super Bowl 50-0 expectations, but reasonable.
We're back.
Yeah. But reasonable expectations, I think that, yes, they are going to underperform. Doesn't mean that Dallas is not going to be good. They're still going to be good. Dak will say, instead of throwing for 4,900 yards like he did his last complete healthy season, he'll throw maybe around 4,000 yards. So I think that this version of Dak, who is going to struggle off and on throughout the season, is good enough to get you to the playoffs, not get you through the playoffs. And he's good enough to throw for plenty of yards. You're definitely going to have to lean on Zeke Elliott, who's looking to bounce back himself, as well as that offensive line, who's also looking to bounce back themselves. So even though he's going to underperform this year, that's not a bad thing, because really what you want from Dak is you want him to be healthy this entire season. Anytime you get a player, especially a franchise quarterback, off of a horrific injury, you just want them to be healthy the entire season. And then next year, after they have that behind them psychologically, then you look for your team to make that leap to, the playoffs, deep in the playoffs and beyond. So it also kind of depends on what the expectations of the fan base are, or anyone who looks at this team. If your expectation is Super Bowl, then no. I mean, that shouldn't be your expectation anyway.
Well, why not? I mean, they're the Cowboys. They're considered one of the most talented teams in the NFL just about year in and year out. There's no reason why Cowboys fans honestly shouldn't think they're not Super Bowl bound.
I mean, you could say that
outside of this injury now.
I mean, you could say that, but there are three teams right now you would take ahead of them. Well, at least two out of the three. You would take four. In the NFC. You would take the Bucks ahead of them, right?
Yeah,
you would take
You
would take the Packers ahead of them.
Ooh,
come on now.
I don't know.
You think the Cowboys are better than the Packers?
The turmoil up there, I think the Cowboys might be. I don't know.
If you were a GM, you would take the Aaron Rodgers turmoil over Dak's injury situation, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, it's a good point. Yeah, you're right. I would.
So then them, and honestly, I would take the Rams over the Cowboys as well.
Really?
Finally having a quarterback who's really not afraid to sling it the way that this offense sets them up to, with Aaron Donald 99 Madden and Jalen Ramsey 99 Madden on the other end. I think a lot of people would take them over the Cowboys. I would take them over the Cowboys too. So that's three teams already. So knowing that you're going to have to face at least two of them in the playoffs, were you to keep going, don't expect for this team to get past that. Just expect for Dak to be healthy. You want Zeke to bounce back, and you want that offensive line just to be good. That's all you want. Then next year, that's where you make your leap.
Well, so this is where, of course, being a degenerate gambler that we are, we keep up with a lot of props and everything. This was one of the props that popped up. I sent it to you all on Thursday. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting, and for you all to even look at this as well. Nate Tice, who's a really good analyst he breaks down NFL film on Twitter. He poses this question: the Dak Prescott season total over under is set at 31.5. 31.5. Jimmy, that feels really low. So looking at the last couple years, I'm going to go through these numbers real quick. We're going to talk through that and we can go into some other stuff. He threw 9 touchdowns last year. I think he's on pace to throw like 55 or 60 or something ridiculous.
And like 6,700 yards. No, seriously. Yes, he was.
But he threw his last full season, he threw 30 touchdowns. Season before 22, and then 23 in 2016. So based upon his trajectory, he should get 31 plus. He should get 32. At the same time, the emergence of a CeeDee Lamb alongside Amari Cooper, who's probably going to get less targets because CeeDee Lamb's going to be so great this year. This is the perfect year for him to break out. And then everybody else that got on the receiver court. And then if Dak can stay healthy, Zeke's going to have a good season because people aren't going to put 10 in the block anymore. So with the way that looks, and then Schefter talking about him not being 100%, I'm trying to figure out if Vegas is trying to trap us.
Just hearing you say that total, so this is his passing touchdown total, 31.5 over under. I think that if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you want him to go under that, because what that means is that you've, in a sense, altered your game plan in order to, I guess, offset the fact that he's going to have this shoulder that could be a problem. What you want is, again, you want to actually kind of shift back to what the offense was before Dak's passing ability emerged, which was very Zeke-centric. So you have Zeke. You have probably, to me, one of the best backup running backs in Tony Pollard, right? So you're going to want to, I guess, in a sense, center the game plan more around them. And in order to preserve his shoulder, center it more around the more short-term West Coast short-distance passing game, as opposed to making him throw big throws 5 or 6 times a game.
Right. Go back to the Marion the Barbarian, Felix Jones, the Lightning Thunder dual running back system. I get that. For me, I do think that it is fair to say if he's not 100%, they're probably not going to have a good year. I mean, watching Hard Knocks last couple of weeks, you can tell with his demeanor that, of course, he's irritated as hell that he's not being able to play every single snap. Mm-hmm. But he understands the fact that he strained his shoulder, which no one's said how. Mm-hmm. It seems like he's just been overthrown. He's throwing the ball too much. Could be it. He ain't got hit. So where is this shoulder injury coming from? I think if anything that concerns me about this piece, I want to know where the source is. And I don't recall seeing it anywhere. Mm-hmm. So as long as they said the MRI was good. So based upon the MRI and all of the medical staffing or whatever information that's been coming out as far as the injury report goes, he looks like he hasn't strained anything additionally. He's healing the way it should. And so he should be good coming week 1. But if Schefter is saying that he potentially won't be number 100% and they're expecting that, mm-hmm. What besides the ankle, which he looked good running.
Yeah.
It's got to be the most recent one. It's got to be the shoulder that's holding him back. Which one do you think it is that they feel like is going to be the thing that's going to hold him back this season?
Yeah, I think it's definitely the shoulder. I think that the biggest question marks are the shoulder. I mean, I think the ankle is healed. That's more so psychological for him. But I think that it definitely is the shoulder. I mean, just the way in which they've had to manage it and just the way in which they've talked about it, there's always this sort of air of mystery hovering over just exactly what this is. And like you said, what the source is, and therefore what the long-term prognostication is over a 17-game season before you even get to the playoffs in terms of how it can hold up, how easily or uneasily it can be agitated. Yep. So it's like, because it's such a weird injury to happen in football, it's more so a baseball injury usually. There's just a lot of discomfort with that. Dallas doesn't know. Honestly, they truly don't know, outside of not letting him do anything, if they're even managing this correctly. Yeah. I mean, what if this is the kind of injury that does benefit from, a little more exercise, a little more movement than what they're doing. So I think that whatever happens with this shoulder injury, and I hope nothing further happens, Dallas is probably doing all they can with this mystery. I can't think of a big-time quarterback who has had this type of mystery sort of phantom shoulder injury before, because if they had, then on that first Hard Knocks episode, Jerry would have been talking to whoever that quarterback was and his training staff at the time. Even if it was Vinny Testaverde 25 years ago, he would have been on the phone with him instead of the Texas Rangers. So nobody in football knows exactly what this is. So it's got to be the shoulder.
It's got to be. Well, hopefully it's not lingering too far through the season. Hard Knocks has been great. We'll talk more about it next week. Two episodes down. The next episode will come on. This will launch on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So you'll see another episode Tuesday night. Make sure you check it out so we can laugh and talk about the first 3 episodes on the next episode. But the other thing that we do here on Mondays on Unfair Sports is have Jimmy talk about the news.
And now Jimmy has the news.
Thank you, Wendy. All right, so Jay, unfortunately in Foxborough, over a misunderstanding due with COVID-19 testing away from the facility, Cam Newton is basically going to be held out and not be able to be around the team for the next 3 days, hopefully until Thursday. Apparently, like I said, this is due to a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Because the test was conducted away from NFL facilities, and he did travel to a New England Patriots approved site, but one not necessarily approved by the league. So that is why he's probably going to be out till Thursday.
So it sounds like the Patriots have set him up to where they have a reason to play Mac Jones an entire preseason game and really evaluate the guy. Look, Mac Jones did good first preseason game. Cam was meh. Second preseason game, Cam was good. Mac was meh. So now we get to, I guess, have that third game to decide what they're going to do.
It was going to be this or it was going to be something else. I swear, I don't know if it's just poor decision making or if it's just bad luck, but it seems like things just never quite can go right for Cam Newton. It's like there's always something getting in the way of him being able to do what he needs to do. And this would be just the thing to where Mac Jones takes over those first team reps the next 3 days and is just firing the ball all over the field, just perfect reads, play after play after play, and then they have no choice but to put him in there. So I kind of feel bad for Cam Newton, but this is just such a Cam Newton thing to happen.
Right.
All right, so up next, Sha'Carri Richardson of recent fame in terms of the being the famous sprinter who has come on over the last couple of months, and of course with the ban because of smoking marijuana, etc., not able to compete in the Olympics, had an event over the weekend that she competed in, the Prefontaine Classic, and it was a 100-meter contest, and in this contest she came in dead last. Unfortunately for her, she was very optimistic after this, saying that she's not done, that if anybody's doubting her right now, just continue to watch, she'll be back. And she seemed very confident, wasn't shaken much by this. I don't know, did you happen to see this?
I didn't. I saw the end result. I saw the actual race, that the 2 minutes that it went down for them actually doing the race or whatnot. I didn't watch the entire thing, but I did see her race. And looking at it, to be honest, I mean, she's right. She'll be back. You know, she was out because of, you know, whatever reason she couldn't do the Olympics. But you know who won that, right? First, second, and third was Jamaicans. The girls that won in the Olympics. So, honestly, her going to the Olympics, she wasn't going to beat them anyway because they seem to dominate the sport regardless. So yeah, I mean, as much as I love Sha'Carri, she had no chance in this one.
So what happens if she takes another? Because it's one thing to take an L, like it was just an L period, but to take an L like this, how many more of these do you think she can take before they move off of her as being one of the fastest women? I mean, she technically is one of the fastest women in the world.
She's the sixth fastest one. She holds the sixth fastest record, I think, in the 100 right now. And the young lady that beat her, Elena Thomas. Hurrah. I'm bad at pronouncing names. She ran the second fastest 100-meter time in history with a 10.54.
And I'm not much into track and field, but I would definitely tune into whatever her next race is just to see how it turns out, just to see, you know, if she can prove the doubters wrong who are on her and trolling her because of just this one loss in this fashion. All right, so the Milwaukee Bucks superstar, champion, finals MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, just purchased a stake in the Milwaukee Brewers. According to the MLB team that announced on Friday. He's following in the footsteps of Patrick Mahomes, who purchased a stake in the Kansas City Royals, a local team there with the team that he plays for, the Chiefs. It's a pretty unbelievable thing.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers owns a piece of the Bucks, if I'm correct. So,
really?
I mean, that's what you do when you're local. You play, you pay, you show that you want to be around, you're committed to the city by buying a stake into a team. Okay,
so Rodgers owns part of the Bucks. Giannis owns part of the Brewers, so we need a Brewer to earn part of the Packers.
There you go.
There we go.
Well, actually, probably already does because it's owned publicly.
I'm trying to think who would. Like, can you name a Milwaukee Brewer right now?
They have a team?
Yes, they do.
Oh.
Team's still there.
Yeah, my bad.
I know they have Christian Yelich. He's probably one of their better players. I think the Brewers are really good this year. They're like the Pistons in 04. They're really good, but just no superstars whatsoever.
That makes sense. Is that it?
It's news.
And that was Jimmy with the news.
Thank you, Bob. All right, so Jay, let's go over to the NBA as we approach the regular season in a shade under a couple of months. And one of the things, yes, it is. And one of the things we always look forward to is Vegas releasing their over-unders for win totals for the various NBA teams. So Caesar, this past Friday, released their projected win totals, over-unders for the NBA, and it was headlined by the Brooklyn Nets, led by KD, Kyrie, and Harden, setting their win total over-under at 54 and a half games.
That's it?
So last year, 72 game season, the Nets won 48 of those. And this year is projected at 54.5 with the full 82 game slate for each one of the teams.
So an additional 10 games, 48. That means they would have to just win half of those. They go 500. So if they go 500, then that would get them at 55.
So fair or unfair, the Brooklyn Nets will win 54 games or less.
I think it's unfair. I still have the Nets as my favorite in the East. I don't trust their health still. I will never trust their health. And I actually expect them to rest a lot of them a lot more this year in preparation for the playoffs, so more load management, especially because this is another shortened season. The finals ended in mid-July.
True.
Brooklyn was out in June?
Mid to late June.
Yeah, mid to late June. And so that's still longer than what you normally would play. And this actually makes it a shorter window. Then they played in the Olympics. And so at the Olympics for Kevin Durant, I think that does nothing but it takes away that break for him to be able to rest. And so I expect them to go into more of a load management mode, which will allow them to be prepared for the actual playoffs. So I don't see them winning more than 54 games this year.
So you think that is fair that they win 54 or less and therefore hit the under?
Yes, they're going to hit the under. They're going to hit the under on this.
I'm
yes,
going to go with unfair. I think that Brooklyn will definitely win more than this 54 and a half games. That is, like you, it's allowing for the injuries that are going to occur in addition to the load management that because of those injuries or that injury history definitely needs to happen and is going to happen. Even outside of load management, Kyrie is just going to take some days off. Just cause he needs to for various reasons.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that is baked into this total, and the win percentage from the 54 to an 82 game season, as opposed to winning 48 in a 72 game season last year, is about the same. So I think that now that they've gotten a year under their belt, they've suffered that playoff loss. Like every team like this, every big three that gets together needs to suffer in order to work out the chemistry issues, in order to just go through that. I mean, there's there's pressure, but not as much pressure now that you've already faced losing to the eventual champ, nonetheless, over 4/10 of a toe. Basically, this is how that happened. But I think that give or take. But I think that this is the kind of petty Brooklyn team, at least amongst their starters, or the big three stars, who will see this win total and say to themselves, "You're saying that with this big three, the greatest collection of offensive talent, top 2 or top 3 all time in the NBA, you're saying that we can't win. You're saying that we can't win at least 60 games when any team like this has probably won around 60 games." Like, I mean, you think so? Like I'm trying to think of the big threes. So the Miami Heat's big three.
Boston.
I mean, you're talking 60 games at least, right? Even teams that haven't had big threes have found ways to be able to do that. So I think that this is very unfair. I topped them out. Now, Chris R. Barber, reason why this even came up, why I even looked at it, is on Saturday when I was at the shop, he was telling me that he thinks this Brooklyn team can break the Golden State Warriors regular season win total record. Now, he's super confident in this team that much. But I thought, okay, we know they're not going to do that. But if they win 10 fewer games than that to break the record, which would be 74, then I think that they could reasonably win 64 games. I mean, especially with KD finally asserting himself as who many believe now is the best player in basketball. Unfortunately, NBA 2K ratings don't believe that, because even though he's tied with LeBron, somehow LeBron is still better than him. Whatever. But I think that this team can win at least 60 to 64 games. And if they do that and you take the over, easy win. Easy money right there. I'm taking the over both on the show and betting wise. They win more than 54 and a half.
Yeah, so the Celtics won 66 their first year together as the big three. Next year, 62. And in the third year that they went to the finals and lost to the Lakers, they won 50. Ugh. Yeah, it was a
okay.
Quick decline. If you really think about it. Very, very quick decline. And then the next year they won 56. Like I said, I'm not saying that the Nets are not a good team. Mm-hmm. I'm saying I don't trust them being healthy. And like you said, Kyrie's going to have his days built in where he's not going to be at work. He likes his PTO, and I appreciate people that appreciate PTO. So he's going to take his PTO.
Right.
Harden, he's been a tank his whole career. Then all of a sudden, soft tissue injury started to kick in. Could be that he is starting to on the decline health wise, and he could be consistently hurt. And then Kevin's had 2 catastrophic injuries to where he's lost a whole season, from the foot injury in Oklahoma City when he was young, and then now the Achilles injury, even though he's built different and it's not something that should be cause for concern when it comes to him going forward. He also ain't any younger. I mean, he's 32? So his age is going to kick in to where it's going to slow him down just a little bit. Right. So I say it is very much fair for them to. It's definitely not too low, but I think they might hit right at that number, because Vegas is really good at that. Analytics wise, they're really good at that. I think they'll get right there at 54 and a half. If you can get 53 and a half, go over. 54, you might want to stay at 54 because it'll probably hit even. 54 and a half, I think it goes under. On the best number I think they'll have is 55, in which some books, it looks like I already have the Nets at 55 and a half. So your best number is 55.
Right. So if you take the over, all you need is for the Nets to not lose more than 27 times with this collection of talent. with a year under their belt, there's no way I can not take the over. I know it looks like a trap. You think it's a trap. Might very well be. It may no. It is no. It's intended to be a trap, but I think Vegas is going to look because just because it's supposed to be a trap doesn't mean you have to fall in it.
It's a trap.
Yeah, it's not a trap. It's a trap. So with that, there were some other win totals that were also released. You had the Bucks, the reigning champ, the Buccaneers at 53.
Bucks and Bucks both won. So
Exactly. That's true. At 53.5. Would you take the over or under on the Bucks?
I'll go over on the Bucks. Over. They stay healthy. I mean, they won 60-something games 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're pretty consistent when it comes to everybody playing. I expect everybody to play. I can see them getting the number one seed back.
And it's something about this team too. I don't see them as being one of those teams that has that kind of a hangover. Well, they wouldn't qualify for the hangover because they won. I could see them being just. I don't think they're going to change much. I don't think they need to change much at all. And I think that still puts them in the top 2, top 3 teams in the league, just like your Buccaneers. They don't need to change hardly anything at all. You get everybody back.
Good.
Yeah. Just make a few tweaks here and there and then keep going because, I mean, you're still the machine and no one can still beat you so long as you have the GOAT.
Right. And all the film people are going to look at for Tampa Bay is going to be they can't look at the season stuff. They have to look at the Super Bowl stuff because they changed things up in the Super Bowl. So they were prepared. So there you go.
Exactly. All right. You have the Lakers, Sixers, and Jazz at 51.5 each. Lakers, Sixers, and Jazz. So for the Lakers, would you take the over or under on 51.5?
Lakers 51.5. I'm gonna go over.
I'm gonna go over too because I think they're really gonna want that number one spot in the West.
Yeah, they're gonna want home court, especially with everything going on with that Rona. They're gonna want the home.
Mm-hmm.
The Sixers,
51.5.
It depends what happens with Ben Simmons. I call them as an over team, but if they keep Ben, they're under. And I think it's more so just because there's going to be all kinds of mess in the locker room. Just Ben's ready to go. They got to get rid of Ben.
I mean, it depends on who they get back. Like, if somehow they work out this trade with Portland and you get Dame Lillard in it, then I would definitely take the over. But you're right. If you keep Ben Simmons or you bring in, I mean, some draft picks and some other players who are good but really don't measure up to what his impact would be, then you take the under. So you're right. It does depend upon that. And I fear that we won't know the answer to the question of what happens with Ben Simmons until the season starts. I think he's going to be in the Deshaun Watson type situation where he's there every day, going through the motions. Everybody's uncomfortable. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future.
Elephants in the room. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just going to be another day. All right. The Jazz, 51.5.
I'll go over. They're a regular season team.
Exactly.
They're a strong regular season team.
They are built, focused, and want to win in the regular season. They want that number one spot too.
Right, because nobody's going to hunt out Rudy Gobert in the regular season. They just wait to the playoffs to do that.
Right. Exactly. Then it's 5 out spacing all day long.
Yep.
All right, last one, Western Conference champs, 50.5, the Suns. Over under on that.
That's 50.5. I think teams are going to figure them out this year. The Young Bucks aren't going to probably be as consistent. I think they'll be one of the 50-win teams. I'll give them that. I'll go over. I'll say 51 would be what they hit.
I'm gonna slightly go over too. I'm gonna give them 51 to 52. I mean, it's hard for me to think.
I was thinking 51 as well.
It's hard for me to think that this team that just went through the playoffs as they did, and that you still have Chris Paul, that they're gonna lose. What would it be? More than 31 times. It's hard for me to think of them taking 31 L's. Maybe 21. Maybe 25. I'm not seeing 31 L's.
I can see 30 L's.
30? Yeah.
30 L's is probably the max that I'll give them. So, yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, you know me pretty well, Jay. You know that I'm not the biggest fan of the NFL preseason, and by biggest fan means I hate it. I totally hate the thought, the theory, the philosophy, and the actual preseason games that take place in the NFL for a lot of reasons that we'll probably get into some other time. But I must say, this season, somewhat unprecedented in the sense of what we have in the quarterback situations, especially when it comes to rookie quarterbacks potentially being able to earn week one starting jobs. We have questions in several NFL cities, NFL franchises about who is actually going to start. Now, so we've almost worked our way through all the preseason games for the first 2 weeks. We have one tonight. You have the Saints and the Jags. We'll get to that in just a second. But I want to get your opinion on who you think is actually going to be the week one starter. So I need you to put on your psychic hat, your genie hat, and tell me which one of these individuals is going to win the starting job for this particular franchise. Ready?
Let's give it a try. Before you say that, like you said, unprecedented. You're right. I talked about this on the last pod when I had my guy Ross from Fourth and Long Radio on.
Real good show.
And we talked through. Appreciate it. We talked through, the crazy part about this past draft is this is the first one since '99 that we had 3 quarterbacks drafted back to back. And remember, in that draft, we had 5 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Yeah. The last one we had 5 in the first round. Remember, you had your Tim Couch, Donovan McNabb, and Achilles Smith back to back, and then Culpepper and Cade McNown back to back. And
so,
right,
so 2 out of 5, kind of panned out.
Ish, because Culpepper just couldn't stay healthy, even though he still threw for 24,000 yards in his career.
True,
just health. But yeah, you had some. I mean, that was a draft. That was the draft of quarterbacks, and so this one having that same thing where you have all these quarterbacks that you knew are going to start. Basically, makes it real interesting. So what you got?
All right. So first, who should start? Actually, before I get to that, let me give you a bit of an appetizer. Who should start in Jacksonville? Trevor Lawrence?
Oh my God!
Or Gardner Minshew? No, actually, let me ask it this way: if Trevor Lawrence sucks tonight against the Saints, and Gardner Minshew doesn't, who should be the starter? Because technically, Urban Meyer has not named the Week 1 starter for the Jags.
Urban Meyer should lose his job if he doesn't start Trevor Lawrence Week 1. Just go out there and stink it up for another year. Get another high draft pick. Add to your arsenal of players. Probably an offensive lineman. Whatever the best one in the country is. They're probably going to end up being the number 1 picks. I don't think we have a bunch of quarterbacks besides Spencer Rattler.
2.
So and Sam Howell
from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
2. That's it.
So you got 2 quarterbacks that everybody's ready for. You may as well go ahead and let that man go ahead and stink it up and be prepared for that. That's what you need to do. Don't be stupid. Start Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the man has had he's had the playbook since February. So you don't give him the playbook in February to not start him Week 1 in Jacksonville. So he could do his best Jameis Winston impression and throw for 5 interceptions tonight facing Jameis Winston and 5 interceptions next week, and you still start him. You still put him out there with the ones, and you give yourself a better chance to win. All right, for the real ones, who should start for the Bears? Justin Fields or Andy Dalton?
I know that, if I'm correct, Matt Nagy had said that Dalton's going to start Week 1. I do think they need to go ahead and just go with Justin Fields. This is the reason why. I mentioned this on another video. Nagy got Mitchell Trubisky to a Pro Bowl.
He did, didn't he?
Yes, he did. They went 12-4 that year.
Right.
Justin Fields is light years better than Mitchell Trubisky. So you may as well put him out there and just see what you got. The team is built with a solid defense. The line looks like it's going to hold up. The run game, if they get a good run game from Montgomery, I see this team doing something. I see this team actually competing in the North. And so with that, let the rookie take advantage of the fact that your rookie quarterback's on a rookie contract, get him the reps you need, build a defense around him, and try to make some runs for some Super Bowls. Do the same thing they did in Seattle with Russell Wilson. You know he's going to beat this. He beat this dude out, Andy Dalton. It's Andy Dalton, man. It's Andy freaking. You saw Andy Dalton last year with Dallas. They had all the same weapons that Dak had, and Andy lost his job to DiNucci.
Benvenucci, yeah.
So don't be stupid. Start Justin Fields.
What? After having promised Andy Dalton the starting quarterback job for Week 1, what do you say to him when you call him into your office and what you plan to do is tell him that you're going to give the job to Justin Fields? What do you say to him?
Can I speak to Andy? Yeah. Hey, Andy.
Hey, what's up, Coach?
Hey, why don't you go ahead and tell you that you're not coming back? See you later. Take it easy.
Hey, look, I ain't coming home no more.
There you go. I'm not coming home anymore.
Take it easy.
You're not playing the game anymore. Take it easy. That's it. No, I mean, there's no reason. Start the young buck. Get him out there. Get him the reps. Get him going.
When they released the schedule, what I said to myself was the last thing you want to do is fire him out there Week 1, Sunday Night Football against Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. But after having watched him play in the preseason, it sort of helped to reverse my opinion on that in the sense that after you faced Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, you can face anything. You can face any defense. So you're right. Put him out there. They're going to lose. He's not going to be very good, but those real-time reps will be invaluable. And hell, you might he might even keep it close.
Yeah.
But he's going to do probably a lot better and give you more avenues to move the ball than Andy Dalton does. I mean, it does suck for him because he's a human being too, but
he is?
I mean, this is a big boy NFL business. Yeah, I know you don't like him, but this is a big boy NFL business.
I like the beige water pistol.
I know. But I agree. You play Justin Fields. He looks like, and it's an interesting comparison. Comparing him to Trey Lance, watching them both play in the preseason, it's obvious which one played football last season. Which is not to say that Trey Lance hasn't been bad. He hasn't. He's just been very rocky up and down. It's hard for him to find his footing. Whereas Justin Fields, he has more command of this offense because it's not been too long since he played. So I think that for that reason, he's in a better position in order to lead this team against the Rams and beyond. So I would say Justin Fields, and I think that if they actually do that, if he starts by week 3 or week 4, I think he's guaranteed to win Rookie of the Year. That's how high I am on Justin Fields.
I'm with you on that.
That's what I'll do. All right, so next.
Real quick on that one,
Yes.
Andy Dalton played against the Arizona Cardinals right after Dak got hurt. He looked okay, 34, 54, 266, touchdown, 2 picks. Then the next week he played against Washington, and they beat his. So
I remember that game.
Playing
Oh,
against
that was
good
bad.
defenses,
Oh,
there
that was
you
bad.
go. There you go. You don't want to see that again.
Flashbacks. All right.
Next game.
So up next, not rookie quarterbacks, but still interesting nonetheless. By the time you hear this show, you will have watched their second preseason game, and that is for the New Orleans Saints. Who should start week 1 for the Saints? Jameis Winston, your favorite quarterback, or Taysom Hill?
Jameis will throw that thing. He'll probably throw it to the wrong team a few times, but he'll throw that thing to your team deep at the same time. So it'll be one of the two. Taysom, he'll get you some first downs on some nice scrambles. To be honest, their best bet is to keep Taysom as the gadget, run with Jameis Winston. I think it's the safer bet. As long as you allow Jameis to not throw the ball more than 30 times, even after he got LASIK and finally got his eyes fixed, don't have him throw the ball more than 30 times. Have Taysom mix in there or whatnot. I think Jameis can go out there and throw for 30 touchdowns without throwing for 30 picks.
I mean, if this were last year, if we were having this discussion, and let's say Drew Brees retired last year, then it was down to these two for the 2020-2021 season,
Yep.
I probably would go Taysom Hill, but I like the fact that Jameis has had a year in this system, and it's not even so much a year to learn the playbook because he's a smart guy. It's more so a year to learn the culture, not only the culture of the Saints, but to truly learn and appreciate the importance of taking care of the football. Because if you are able to have your job long enough to throw 30 interceptions in a season, Bruce Arians, then that means that taking care of the football is probably not as high on the list of priorities for his quarterbacking as it should have been.
Yeah.
Just as long as he operated the deep throws and the type of offense that Bruce Arians liked, it's almost like he didn't care.
No, he was out there just slinging that thing.
Right.
You know, that's what he was trying to do. And for him, in like I said, in defense of Winston, when I went back and looked at all the numbers, he threw more than half his interceptions when he was out there throwing the ball more than 30 times in the game. You don't even throw that ball that much. I feel more confident with Winston at quarterback. Like you said, he's had a year at the playbook. Taysom's had all this time with the playbook. So to me, that's a red flag. If this whole time you have a quarterback battle with Taysom Hill and he's been there his entire career,
It shouldn't be a battle.
there shouldn't be a battle at all.
Right.
Jameis is also younger, and then to add on top of that, he's learned the timing of what they do as the Saints. And unfortunately, there's no Michael Thomas, but I think that this is going to help them just move forward and get better.
You know, I think in a way, it's kind of one of those crazy things. How can this team be better without this great player? So no, the Saints aren't better without Michael Thomas, and that's kind of a bit of an issue there in terms of what's going on with him in the organization. But the last thing you want, and maybe there was just a little bit of this in Tampa Bay where you have just this great wide receiver, Mike Evans. Hell, you have two, and how that can oftentimes in that position prompt quarterbacks to force feed the ball. That's what I loved about Dak when he first got there. He would not force feed the ball to Dez Bryant, no matter what Dez Bryant said in the media. I was like, that's maturity. That's leadership. That's what you need. So I think that without Michael Thomas for the foreseeable future, since you have guys who people may not know very well who play the wide receiver position and who run routes when the play starts, then he can just focus on, like you said, his timing, his precision, finding the open guy, and not worry about feeding Michael Thomas the ball. Because Michael Thomas, one of the hardest workers in football, great player, broke records for a reason, but he's one of those who expects a certain amount of targets per game, and when he doesn't give those, you're going to hear about it.
Yep.
So with him not being there for the foreseeable future, Jameis doesn't have to worry about that. Just one less thing he has to think about while he's out there trying to make the right reads.
There you go.
All right, so lastly, who should start week 1? Mac Jones or Cam Newton?
We're going to have this conversation probably for the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
Cam's probably not going to play in the preseason game because of the misunderstanding with the testing or whatever the heck he was doing. I'm trying to figure out why he even left, why he left the premises for whatever reason they were doing. I don't know.
Right.
So since Cam is now out, I do not see Belichick starting Mac Jones over Cam Newton. I just don't see it happening. I don't see him doing that at all. I expect Cam to be the starting quarterback week 1 of the season.
Well, that's what you expect. That's what you want. But is that what should happen?
Yes, that should be what happened. Put the veteran in there. I put it like this. This team is new for the most part. If you think about it, they got a lot of people that opted out. They're backing in. And Cam's got a year under his belt with a year and some change now. And he had a training camp. So he's got the system in with the training staff. He does look a lot better than he did before. The wide receivers look like they've got some good chemistry. I would let Cam do it for as long as you need to. I'd have Cam play the entire season. I'd let Mac come in next. I would not throw Mac into the flame this year.
I will announce my bias in the sense that I do like Mac Jones more than Cam Newton. And how it happened was when my 49ers moved up to 3, and then there were all these rumors, which turned out to be, in a sense, a smokescreen that they didn't even intend to happen, but it worked in their favor. The smokescreen was Mac Jones. So many of the analysts and draft gurus said that they're going to take Mac Jones. So after getting through my initial disgust with them taking him over Trey Lance or Justin Fields, I started watching film on Mac Jones, and in watching that film, I really like what I saw. I did see those shades of Brady in a Patriots offense where it's about, quick release. By the time you hit your back foot, the throw is out, 2.3 seconds or less, making the right reads, throws a really good deep ball. It doesn't go as far as, say, a Trey Lance's would, but just throws a really good deep ball in terms of placement and just his ability to command things, which they said he already started doing early in camp. So I am more biased towards Mac Jones, and I don't know if this is even fair to say to him about why I would say Cam Newton deserves to be the week 1 starter, but it's because, honestly, Cam has been through, since that, and I said this to Chris on Saturday, since that loss in the Super Bowl, it's almost like that loss broke him, how he was never the same Cam Newton ever since then. And he's been through quite a lot since then. Just in New England, he's gone through quite a lot over this last year. So I feel like just on principle, just in the sense of deserving it for what he's had to go through, in addition to all the injuries that he's battled through because of the shots that he's taken, because of his style of play, I think that they owe themselves to see what Cam Newton would look like as the week 1 starter of this season, especially given all that he went through last season with catching COVID. He was looking good. Caught COVID, was never the same, etc. Some injury problems, stuff like that. So I would say Cam deserves to be the starter. He should be the starter, but Mac Jones at some point this season needs to take over for him because he will be ready to.
Okay. Mac. All right, so let's wrap this bad boy up, put a bow on it. So, Jimmy, you know how much I love the fact that the NIL passed July 1 and players are getting paid. I'm fascinated by all the deals that are being made. And everywhere I turn, there's more interesting deals being made left and right. I have been working on some stuff to talk through some of those deals, talk about the biggest benefactors of it. Those videos will show up on our YouTube channel. So please go hit that up, like, subscribe. Share, because sharing is caring. We appreciate that. And then make sure if you're listening to us here on the podcast, rate us and review us and give us 5 stars on Apple. If you deserve it, just go ahead and give us 5 anyway. But there's been another cool NIL deal that happened that is now raising questions to how close to the line are we? So BYU has brokered a NIL deal. This is an article out of USA Today. They brokered a deal with Built Bar. Have you heard of Built Bar?
I have not.
It is a protein bar at GNC. A buddy of mine sent me the article and told me about this, but I heard that it is delish. to the point of they're really hard to find because people buy them all up, all the best flavors. So anyway, Protein Bar Company, they're based out of Utah, but guess what they're gonna do, Jimmy?
What's that?
They are paying. The NIL deal is for every player on the team. So out of the 123 players on the team, every player is a brand ambassador. But this is how it gets even better. So every player that is on scholarship will get $1,000 for being brand ambassadors. Mm-hmm. But what about those walk-ons? They're a part of that 123. Their tuition is paid for by Built Bar. So now it asks and raises the question, is this a pay-to-play type scenario, which is technically not supposed to be legal? Or is this just a fancy way of circumventing the system and getting yourself more scholarships?
I think it is a fancy, creative way in order to really, it's about being able to get players into your program, because being at BYU, and they've had some good players here and there, but in terms of the
Zach
upper,
Wilson just got drafted.
right, exactly. Okay, yeah, number 2 pick. So, in order to attract, I guess not so much the upper echelon talent, but in order to attract other players who may not be quite as sought after, to give them this extra avenue to make money from playing for this team, which does sound like pay to play. Even if you're a walk-on, that you still get the equivalent of a scholarship. I think that this is part of what they're going to have to do in order to evolve, because the ecosystem of college football has now changed because of the NIL. Mm-hmm. So when you have schools like BYU, you're not going to be able to do what an Alabama or an Ohio State does. So thinking of ways like this, I think is very intelligent, is very forward thinking. Again, because the NCAA doesn't know how to regulate anything, there isn't probably going to be much that they're going to be able to say to you about this as it exists in the current college football landscape with the NIL. So I love this. I think this is incredibly creative. I think that, it's a copycat league. Every league is a copycat league. So you'll see other schools do the exact same thing, which then forces a school like BYU to become even more creative in order to stay competitive when it comes to getting the best players that you can. So I think that this is fair. I really like it. And I think that it was just, these things are naturally going to happen.
Yeah. Everybody's going to find more and more creative ways to get these kids money because they ain't got to pay that out their own pocket. So they have no problem with spending other people's money. And that's the one thing I will say we know is going to happen. Teams are going to find a way to spend everybody else's money around them, and the school's not going to spend a single one of their dime. They're going to bring in nothing but their revenue. I think it is a creative way, and it is fair to say that they are being creative, and they're pushing an envelope, but I don't think they're overstepping the line. I appreciate
so not habitual line stepping.
Yeah, I appreciate the creativity behind it because everybody's doing it. Like, for example, Alabama freshman DB Kool-Aid. I'm
sorry, what?
Kool-Aid McKinstry, the corner for Alabama. He just signed a deal with Kool-Aid. Yes.
What's his name again?
Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Is it like his mama named him that?
His mama named him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. I don't know. I think he go by Kool-Aid. And so guess what? Kool-Aid gave him some money. But as I'm saying, everybody's gonna get super creative with these deals.
I love that.
Quincy Kool-Aid McKinstry. Quincy Kool-Aid, my man. So they call him Kool-Aid.
I like
Kool-Aid's got a deal.
Yeah.
But no, everybody's getting creative with all of this. Like, Missouri and Arkansas, their offensive lines are sponsored by local barbecue joints. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so everybody's going to be doing all of this. And this is what fascinates me about this is how teams, schools, and local boosters are going to leverage these NIL deals and find ways to funnel money to these kids in a legal way. That's always been the problem when it comes to boosters giving kids money. It's not the fact that they're giving them money. It's the fact that these kids are getting money tax free. Everybody wants them to pay taxes. Everybody wants some accountability behind all of this stuff, which I don't, whatever. But this ain't going to help BYU. So I think, the next question I have, is it fair or unfair that this will help BYU? And I don't think it's fair to say that.
You mean doing this won't help BYU?
No, it's not going to help them in the future. The only way I say that this helps them become a better school, better team, and get better players, if they can get more money in their sponsorship deals for these kids. But I don't see them doing that. I don't see them. They have a great alumni base, and that's probably one of the top alumni bases out there. Because people come far and wide. Mormons far and wide go to games that BYU's at around the country, period. Ask anybody. You go to a BYU game across the country, it's a whole bunch of BYU fans there, mainly because of the Mormon church. So I can see them finding deals and bringing more money to pay these players. But the biggest thing is that you still got to have 5-star talent or 5 and 4-star talent on your roster to compete. I don't think this helps them get to the playoff at all.
Well, I think separate from that, one problem that I could foresee, and I guess in a sense has already happened, is that how I just talked about this being a copycat league just like any other. If another school sees them doing this exact same thing, and if we've seen it, that means that they've seen it as well, and they get a local sponsor bigger than Built Brand in order to do the exact same thing, but like you said, offer more money. But that's the aspect of the capitalistic market that college football has now brought into itself in the sense of competition.
Yep.
If I can get this amount from BYU, but I can get more from
Clemson,
Oklahoma, doesn't matter who it is. If I can get more from them, then I'm going to go to that school. So then that forces BYU, like I just talked about with evolution, to where revolutions. I'm not going to say that. Yeah, this may get you by over the next couple of weeks, but in 2 weeks, this will be obsolete, what you're doing, and you're going to have to further evolve in order to stay relevant and competitive in this market that now is more entrenched in college football.
Yeah, they got to revolve and evolve all at the same damn time. And you do. That's kind of the key component behind making these NIL deals. You have to find the most creative ways to get these, especially when it comes to college football. Because I put it like this. The only players that really matter in this scenario for BYU to get additional players would be in the transfer portal, which a lot of schools live in the transfer portal now. True. Especially once that opened up. They was like, we're not going to recruit 4-star, 5-star players. Cool. We're going to recruit the players that we've actually seen on the field and see them perform, and they're not happy anymore. They don't see them. There's a player that was better than them. They lost the job. And so we're going to take these transfers in. And that's, to me, the only avenue that BYU has, unless they get quote-unquote walk-ons like a Baker Mayfield that walks on and you pay for his scholarship. I don't see them getting players like that. I don't see players gravitating to BYU over this. I just don't. They just have to be really good at recruiting like they've been to be relevant. And hopefully that leads to them competing. But I don't think this NIL deal gets them to the playoff.
Well, I think in a way it can over time with things like this. If it brings more attention for this reason to your program, meaning more people see it, so more people think about you as recruits, then maybe more of them consider you. Most of them are still going to go somewhere else, but maybe you get that one or two. Maybe you get another Zach Wilson just based upon something like this. So ultimately, it can help them to be a little bit better. They're not going to compete. They're probably not even ranked in the top 25, so they're not going to really be that much more competitive on the field. But occasionally, because of things like this, they might get a guy that helps the team to be a little bit better, whatever that means for BYU. And I think that they will accept that will even, if it even slightly makes their product on the field better, they would accept that if this helps them to get there.
I can see that, but BYU's going to have to get themselves to a conference first before we actually.
They're not in the conference?
They're independent.
Okay.
Get yourself into a conference, and then we can talk about
which conference would you suggest for BYU?
I mean, the Big 12 is looking for teams right now.
They're just trying to just bail water.
Float.
Nobody wants them.
They need to go ahead and just talk BYU into coming, talk Louisville into coming. Go ahead and call Arkansas and say, you don't want to be over there in the SEC and not win anything. Come to us. You might actually get a chance to go to the playoff through us. Get Arkansas to come on over. You're not going to get Missouri anymore. Missouri's already done that, and they're like, been there, done that. I'm Gucci on that.
Yep.
Get Louisville, get Arkansas. And I don't know, you maybe can call Nebraska and say, look, y'all been getting pummeled like crazy in the Big Ten. Why don't y'all just come back to us? Try to find a way to get back to 12. Add BYU to it.
I like it.
Or even Notre Dame. I mean, try that too. All right, Jimmy, what is on our editing room floor?
Editing room floor. Okay, so today, Jay, the ESPN staff released their list of college football's 100 best players of 2021, headlined by number 1, quarterback for OU, Spencer Rattler. Number 2, the cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. for LSU. And rounding out the top 5, you had quarterback Sam Howell for North Carolina.
Really?
Yes.
So Spencer was number 1.
Number 1.
I am actually a lot more shocked than I thought. I think Spencer's really good. I thought that they would pick Sam over him. Just more experience. But talent-wise, I did think that Spencer is better.
Now,
So
see, I've not seen
good.
Sam Howell play. What kind of quarterback is he?
I think he's a pocket passer. I haven't actually watched him either. I've been hearing about him. I've been reading about him, but
So Rattler, bigger arm, better mobility at quarterback of you. I mean, he's got too much in his favor.
he got a lot in his favor.
And I bet he probably has better endorsements than Sam Howell.
Oh yeah, every shape or form. He's got his own logo.
Doesn't he have Raising Cane's?
Yep, he got Kane. He's got a few others.
Okay. Also, recently, the NFL commissioner Roger Goodell was at an event, Jim Kelly's celebrity golf tournament, and he said that he wants the league to keep the Bills in Buffalo, but they're going to need a new stadium. So what that means is here lately there's been talk that there could be some movement if the right things or the wrong things fall into place where the Bills could be moved out of Buffalo, but their commissioner is behind them in that he wants them to stay, but you got to finance your team's new stadium. And we've seen how that can turn out, haven't we?
Oh, it gets nasty. It gets nasty. But I can definitely tell you that there is I think I saw one suggestion was Austin, Texas. I don't know if this is good for you Bills fans. Sorry, guys. I don't know. This does not sound good, dog. One of the most loyal fan bases might lose their squad.
Bills Mafia, that is a rabid fan base. Here's the thing, because we've seen this before. If the city asks you to vote on and accept a tax in order to use that to finance a team's new stadium, do it. It'll be completely worth it. It's how Oklahoma City got the Thunder, because we voted yes for that. And it's probably part of how Vegas got the Raiders, because they were going through something similar to that with their ancient stadium and the city not wanting to invest more in upgrading the stadium. So, yes, it'll be totally worth it. Don't worry about the tax. You won't even feel it. Vote yes on that to keep the team in Buffalo.
I don't think it's worth it, Buffalo. I'm going to tell you that now. It never pays back the money to the city.
Wait, what?
It never does. Economics economists have already pointed this out. It never does.
What?
Ever. Financially, it never pays it back, because what's going to happen is in a few more years later, they're going to ask for more money to do it again. It's a revolving door. It's a revolving door. The city constantly paying
Jay,
for this.
No one thinks about that when they go to a Thunder game and the Thunder get beat by 30 or win by 5. Nobody, no taxpayer in Oklahoma City cares about that.
They don't, but the city should.
Yeah.
They put themselves in debt doing it. And the other projects around the city.
So the Oklahoma City going to debt over that?
Well, Oklahoma City added another tax on it that they paid off. That was different.
Okay.
They're not going to do that.
All right.
Well, that's not enough. They're going to need more than that, because that was like $120 million that Oklahoma City got. They're going to need like half a billion.
They're going to need $500 million to get Buffalo a new stadium.
Yes, because Buffalo's going to have to add up $500 million too.
Why can't they just upgrade? Why can't they upgrade the current stadium that they have?
It's too old and beat up, man. It's decrepit. You gotta go new. They're going to want a new one. You saw you saw the new LA stadium, right?
Yes.
You see SoFi?
Don't shoot for that. Don't try to be Stan Kroenke. Don't try to be Jerry World. Just have a decent arena. Like even Las Vegas's arena, right? It's not that, but it still looks good. It's not. How much did that cost? Was that
1.5, I think.
1.5? How much was Kroenke World?
2.8.
Okay.
And that was out of his pocket, though. He had cash.
True.
He paid for all of it.
Okay. I mean, find the team with the most decent stadium in the NFL and try to be that. Try to be Jacksonville. Put a kiddie pool behind one of the goalposts.
Too cold. It's negative up there. Come on, man.
Jumping in on ice.
What's up? What's next?
I'm going to save your team, Buffalo. Don't worry about it. I'll think of something. All right. Lastly, there has been talks of an alliance that could be solidified in the next 5 to 7 days between the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC.
Yes,
in light of what has happened with the movement of Texas and Oklahoma now planning to go to the SEC. And I just had one thought about this that came to mind is what's going to happen with the Big 12. Why does nobody want to take them to the dance? That's my only thought. But what do you think about this?
Will Smith on Fresh Prince. Why you don't want me, man?
Oh, I shouldn't laugh at that. That is
exactly what it is. And I feel bad for him because
I didn't see that.
Don't nobody want him.
Yeah.
Don't nobody want him. That's really it.
Well, I mean, so could they you talked about BYU earlier. Could you go to try to get one of them? What, the MAC, the SWAC? Does the Big East still exist?
Splat.
Yeah, Splat.
Blizzard.
Dak.
I
have no idea if the Big East still exists.
No, Big East is gone.
Okay. So yeah, it's almost like the leftovers. Just call your conference the leftovers.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Big East still has basketball. They don't have football anymore. So We appreciate y'all joining us as usual here on Unfair Sports. Make sure wherever you get your content, like, subscribe, follow, rate, and review, and give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Let's go ahead and give us 5 anyway. So, with that, for Mike, Bob, and Wendy, thank you so much for doing what you do best on the background. For Jimmy, be prepared. We're going to be getting ready for football season. We'll have our Frozen 5 back, the NFL preview show. We'll have the OSG report as we prepare to get some more fantasy and gambling back going. We'll talk through all of that soon. So with that, chop it up with you all in a few days.
Peace.